Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jonny Bowden, and you may wonder why am I standing in front of a TV set or something that looks like a TV set, and the reason is that I just finished shooting an interview with AZT TV in Phoenix. This is how I do my TV interviews in the day of COVID. I set them up in my home studio, my home kitchen, to look like what we do when we do them live on TV. And what I was talking about was good foods and bad foods, and that's what gave me the idea to continue the discussion with you, because I only get about 2 or 3 minutes on television. And the fact is, we nutritionists get asked all the time about good foods versus bad foods. And to me, the really interesting thing about that is how it mirrors the way we look at the rest of the world. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So I get asked on a regular basis, are bananas good food? Is pasta good for you? Is, you name the food and people will say, is this good or bad? And we have this tendency to put these things in categories just like we do with things in life. Jerry Seinfeld just did a terrific special live from the Beacon Theater in my hometown, New York City, where he said, it seems like everything these days are in 2 categories. It's either amazing or it sucks. It's like that's all there is. And that's what we do with food too. Is it good food or is it a bad food? It's good for me, bad for me. But the problem with that way of thinking, both in food and in life, is that it really takes a very complex issue and narrows it down to a digital on or off category where it doesn't really belong. And I'll give you an example. Foods are kind of like friends. You all have friends that you like to do certain things with, but not others. For example, you might have a friend that you'd love to go to basketball games with when we still have basketball games you could go to, or that you love to discuss movies with. But that might not be the person that you like to or feel comfortable discussing more intimate parts of your life and your relationships. On the other hand, you might have somebody who's an amazing listener, very compassionate, very wise, who you can discuss feelings and things like, but you don't really want to go fishing with them. So the point is that no friend really occupies and checks every single box, occupies every space in your emotional life, and no food checks every box when it comes to your physical life. And I'll give you a perfect example. This juice. This is a homemade juice. I make this stuff 5 or 6 days a week, so I always have it. This particular one is a red juice. It's made of everything red that's in my refrigerator. Beets and dark carrots and apples, plus turmeric and ginger and lemon. Anyway, point is that a perfect food? Hell no. First of all, it has no fiber. Second of all, it has no protein. And third of all, it probably has a little bit more sugar than a lot of people would like, and that's one of the reasons that I add a good healthy oil to it, a little bit, about a tablespoon, because you actually absorb more of the nutrients with the oil, and it blunts the blood sugar impact. The point is, it's not perfect. Freshly made juice from vegetables and fruits is not perfect. Grass-fed beef, not perfect. Doesn't have any fiber, doesn't have a number of different nutrients that are found in other things, but these other things don't have protein, don't have the right amount of fat. So the point is, foods don't really break down into good and bad. And they certainly don't break down into good and bad for you. For example, peanuts, one of my favorite foods, great foods, got resveratrol, it's got all kinds of good stuff in it. You have a peanut allergy, it's going to wind you up in the hospital with anaphylactic shock. So is peanuts a good food? Well, it depends on who you are. It also depends on what you're using the food for. So for example, for me, I don't have significant blood sugar issues or pre-diabetic issues. I can handle that little bit of extra sugar. For somebody else that I might be advising, I would not have them go near juice for a while until they got their blood sugar under control. So the point is that these foods are complex, and if they are complex, you can imagine how complex some of the issues that we divide over are. And they really can't be broken up into these 2 simplistic categories of good and bad or right and wrong. We need to be able to think a little bit more complexly when it comes both to food and to life, and that's what I started off saying, that I think that a lot of this stuff reflects the way we think about life, the way we think about nutrition, the way we think about fueling ourselves, the priorities we give these things. They all reflect kind of a lot of stuff that we take that isn't related to the kitchen, but is related to how we do our life. And at a time like this, when the country is so divided, it's time to maybe look at some shadings here and try to imagine what it would be like to hold a different position than your own. And how is the world seen through the eyes of somebody who doesn't see it the way you do? And just taking a moment to live in those other shoes, in that other reality, even if it's one that's abhorrent to you, can help us deal with more layers of meaning, more complexities in our life, in our food, in our nutrition, and stop looking so much for formulas and for digital answers to analog questions. You know, is it yes or no? Is it good or bad? Ultimately, it's not a fulfilling way to look at the world. It certainly doesn't give you the best nutrition if you just put categories into good and bad. Carbs are bad, fats are good, whatever it is. Even if it's something that I tend to agree with, it can't be simplified that much. There's no way to get around the hard work of doing your own thinking. And that's true whether it comes to nutrition or whether it comes to politics. This is Jonny Bowden. I hope you liked the video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next go round.